promoter 2 out of 3 for this weekend. We have 1 Fight Night Johnson versus Moraes 3. Okay, 1 championship doing big things. This event will mark 1 championship's first ever event hosted in the United States.
Oh, no way. I didn't even fucking realize it's in the U.S. Where's it at?
Colorado. Same place that...
Absolutely missed that completely. Wow.
Elevation.
Wow, home game for DJ, nearly.
Same town and same arena that BKFC was just in.
Which, for Luke Rockhold, I think,
Colorado.
It's not great. Luke Rockhold just had an issue with elevation, and they threw his ass right back in there and took the gloves off.
That's true.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Take them gloves off.
Oh, that affects my pick a little bit.
Ooh. You guys can catch this on Amazon Prime Video. If you're already a Prime member, you can watch these fights for free, basically. Let's see. Yeah, Colorado was chosen for their U.S. debut because of the Colorado State Athletic Commission was the first ones, apparently, to approve one's rule set.
Nice.
So before we talk about a little handful of these fights on this card, any other fights or fighters that you guys want to spotlight?
I know Omar's got a few.
Yeah, baby.
I'm having the toughest fucking time pulling up this card. It pulled up like the first card that they had together, and
dude, go to Tapology. I always feel like the most updated cards are on Tapology. They're the best.
Second, please start with Mark here, so we're not losing time.
Okay, Mark.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple shout outs. I'll save the ones I know Omar wants. Reiner DeRitter's on the card in a grappling contest. Obviously, he got knocked out pretty bad in his last title defense, so he's taken some time from the actual MMA, but he will be grappling against Ty Ruotolo. I don't know him, Omar. I don't know if you do, but always good to see Reiner DeRitter grappling. And then a fight that we're not going to do is a guy whose name I always struggle to pronounce, but Ong Lon Sang, who is fighting Rong Fan on this card. He's a dude who was a big factor in one for a while. Went on a little bit of a skid, but he's got a streak going again. I think he's opening the main card, possibly. Or actually, it's hard to tell. There's a lot of fights listed on the main card. And then, there's a couple higher up the card that I'm sure Omar wants to shout out, so I will let him do that.
Yeah, I don't know Ty Rotolo, but Reiner DeRitter is a motherfucker, especially if we're just doing grappling. That's crazy. Ong Long Song, he's pretty decent heavyweight. He's not the most technical, but the dude wins. So, but the other one I wanted to shout out was Mikey Mushemi. He is a grappling phenom. I kind of like to think of him as Superman because the dude looks like Clark Kent when he's like normal, the nerdiest kid with glasses and like the whole nine. And then you see him get in there and just wreck people, stretching out limbs that shouldn't be stretched certain ways and doing all kinds of transitions on the ground that are just phenomenal. So definitely recommend watching this fight. He's one of these guys too. And he was actually a guy that had me thinking about, when guys grapple and they don't tap, how it really becomes an issue for the guy who's got that submission. Like he has to make a choice whether he wants to rip this guy's leg off or not. And he kind of had to make that choice in his last grappling event when he had this guy in a knee bar and the guy wasn't going to tap and he didn't tap and it ended up going to decision and Mikey had stretched it for maybe 2 minutes or something like that. Come to find out every tendon in that dude's knee is gone at this point. Like his leg is wrecked. But that's to say that Mikey is a beast and you should definitely watch it if you're into grappling. 100%.
Okay, let us begin here with...
Wait, don't you want to shout out Rod Tang?
Oh, yeah, bro, come on.
I'm an asshole. I thought we were doing Rod Tang. That's how much I love Rod Tang.
Oh, we can. We were just doing the MMA.
No, it's fine. It totally makes sense. It's not MMA. My man Rod Tang will be fighting on this card as well for a belt. My gym just had him in a seminar, which is probably when he did his kind of America tour all the way through Colorado. But we trained with him. We learned some kind of great fundamentals from him and stuff. And I can tell you one thing: the man is tiny and he is strong as all Christ. Like for real, that dude is all muscle. It's pretty wild. But yeah, man, he's a fantastic Muay Thai fighter. Very entertaining Muay Thai fighter, if you're not going to watch Muay Thai on the regular, this is one of those guys that I would say you probably want to make a habit of watching him.
Yeah,
Can
man,
you tell me how the dude he's fighting, when I click on him, does not have a record? like there's no way that's accurate, right?
I would assume they might not know who he is. A lot of these Muay Thai fights can tend to be in some odd locations and shit. I don't even know if they have all of Rodtang's fights because they only have his one championship ones. But Rodtang has like a ton of fights, so they may not just be looking at his pure Muay Thai fights from smaller organizations across the world, especially in Thailand.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, here I found his record. I found his record
begin.
on other sites.
Let's begin, because Daddy's fucking fading over here, guys.
Bro, we have 12 more fights to preview.
Oh my god, I'm gonna fucking die. Okay, in the lightweight division, Super Sage Northcutt taking on Ahmed. How do you say his last name? Mujtaba. Very nice.
Thank you.
Okay, Sage Northcutt, former UFC veteran in the lightweight and welterweight divisions. 27 years old still, out of Texas. Let's see. At his one debut in May of 2019, Sage took on Cosmo Alexander, or I believe he's Brazilian, so is it Alexandre or something like that?
I would think so, yeah.
He got knocked out in like 30 seconds and fractured like 8 bones in his face and had to take quite a bit of time off. And this is his return fight. So I'm excited to see Sage back here. That was at welterweight, and he's dropping back down to 155 because he said that he's learned his lesson taking on guys who are just a little too big for him.
No,
So
it's still 170 because it's one. So the lightweight is 170.
Well, yeah, but he's dropped.
No, this is featherweight then. This is 155.
Yeah, it's lightweight. It's lightweight.
That's what we think.
But he is fighting at 155 right now.
No, he's fighting at 170 pounds, which is lightweight.
Right. Are you sure?
In one, it is. That's why I'm trying to make sure we're on the right weight here, because I don't think Sage can make 155. So 170 seems like that's about right, which is lightweight there.
Well, Sage used to make 155 in the UFC, but in one with the rehydration, lightweight is 170, which is what this fight is about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas his first fight in one was at 185.
And that's the dude that broke his face.
Yes.
I see. Okay. A little confused, but I think I got it. Ahmed Mujtaba, the Wolverine, out of Pakistan. He is 9-2 with 2 knockouts and 5 submissions on his record. Coming in this weekend with back-to-back wins. Mark, why don't you start us off here? Give us your take and your pick.
So the favorite here is Sage. He's minus 160. Mujtaba is plus 130, so pretty close. Yeah. Admittedly, I don't know Mujtaba well, but what I do know is that he is regularly a lightweight, as opposed to the oftentimes middleweight monster in Cosmo Alexandre that won, for some reason, fed to Sage Northcutt in his debut, which obviously did not go well. So I'm happy to see Sage fighting a smaller dude again, who will be of similar size to him. Obviously, it's been a really long time for Northcutt, which makes this fight kind of like not even worth picking, because who fucking knows what happens 4 years later. But he always had talent. I'm going to bank on noticeable improvements having been made in his time off, considering how young he is and how much natural talent he did have. You would think there's room to grow. Mujtaba is a guy who's going to be looking to grapple, so we will learn one way or another pretty quickly, you would think, if Northcutt has shored up that part of his game. And it's possible that this just is kind of sad and he gets out grappled here, but I'm going to go ahead and put the good vibes out there, and I will say Sage Northcutt can stay on his feet long enough to win a UD.
Okay, Omar.
Let's go, baby. I'm here for Sage Northcutt. I was a fan before. I'm a fan now. He's had some difficult times here. He won his last 3 fights in the UFC, and I think they made a better offer for him in one. And when he got there, he got absolutely destroyed. But like Mark said, he had some growing up to do, man. He started very young. He got in the spotlight super, super young. And he's a very exciting and very charismatic kid, very polite. But you can tell even in the conversations that he has with people that he's much more grown up, a little bit more mature now. And I think I think him being able to completely focus on this and not have to juggle a lot of different things, especially when it comes to the, they were pushing him hard in the UFC, and there was a lot of promotion, a lot of like time that he spent having to do media and things like that because of how hard they wanted Sage Northcutt to kind of be something there, that I don't think the same pressure applies here. And although, people are on him right now and talking to him, I still think there's a little bit more of a focus that I think he has here in this situation. So I'm also going to go with Sage Northcutt here. I'm going to go with Northcutt by unanimous decision. But I would love for this man to come back and starch this kid in a round after 4 years off.
Okay. Let's see. I am going to be picky with my heart here as well. I'm going to go with Sage. I love Omar's point that, hey, before he left UFC, he left on a win streak. He left winning his last 3 fights.
Yeah.
Then he ran into a guy who was quite a bit bigger than him and had quite a pedigree of Muay Thai and kickboxing, and got caught bad in the very opening moments of that fight. So I think he's taking quite a bit of time off, and he's going to show off this tool set that he's been sharpening for these past 2 years. I'm going to say he's going to hand Mujtaba his first knockout loss. I'll say he gets him out of there in the second round. Let's move on. Roberto Soldic, RoboCop, taking on Zebaztian Kadestam, the Bandit. Soldic, RoboCop, the 28-year-old out of Germany. He is 20-3 as a pro with 1 no contest, 17 wins coming by way of knockout. Most recently, a no contest back in December due to accidental groin strike. Kadestam, the 32-year-old out of Sweden, he is 14-7 as a professional. He's riding back-to-back wins coming into this weekend. Omar, do us a favor and start us off. Give us your quick take and pick for this Roberto Soldic fight.
I'm pretty high on Soldic. I think the man is a real talent. He's got dynamite in his hands. I don't even really know if there's a safe way to approach a fight with this man. Dricus found some success the first time he fought him, found the exact opposite in the second time he fought him. So it's a real coin flip with Soldic when you talk about, whether, I mean, not really, man. I think he's going to win. I don't think it's a coin flip at all, to be quite honest. I think he starches him. I think it happens in the first round. Let's go Soldic.
Mark.
Yeah, he is a 4-1 favorite. He's minus 400. Kadestam is plus 300. One has changed their mind here on what they want to do with Soldic's debut. I mean, I guess it's not his debut anymore, but the other fight kind of didn't really happen. But initially they were debuting him against a guy who could have really sucked the fun out of things and presented some problems with wrestling, and obviously that ended in a nutshot, and now they've said, you know what, let's book him against a man who's going to stand in there and be ready to battle on the feet, and that's what Kadestam is going to be. And he's going to pay for it, because that's not the way that you want to fight Roberto Soldic. I don't think anyone has done that successfully yet. He doesn't really have another avenue to go, I wouldn't think, so I will say Roberto Soldic styles here and gets a round 2 knockout.
I mean, this just seems like a matchup made for Roberto Soldic to shine here and show off that power. Even though Kadestam only has 1 loss by knockout, he still has 7 losses. I think that Soldic just has a higher pedigree. And I am going to say that Soldic gives Zebaztian his second knockout loss. I'll say round 1 knockout. It's going to get him out there. It's going to look great. A big highlight for one to be playing on their social media next week. Okay, moving on to my girl, Stamp Fairtex, taking on Alyse Anderson. Stamp Fairtex, the 25-year-old out of Thailand. She's 9-2, 3 knockouts, 2 subs in MMA, coming off of a win back in September. Taking on Alyse Anderson, Lil Savage, out of Mason, Michigan. 28 years old, 6-2 as a pro, coming off a win from last May. Mark, start us off. Give us your take and your pick.
Okay, Stamp is minus 300. Anderson is plus 240. There is a 3-inch height and reach advantage for Anderson, so that's a factor. She is a scrapper from what I can see. I don't know her well. I tried to watch some highlights. She's going to have a grappling advantage, certainly, which is always where Stamp's opponents would look to exploit her game. But I think that Stamp is steadily improving her MMA game fight by fight. I think she's looking more comfortable in there with each fight. Obviously, we've seen her now win fights by submission. I think they're kind of hoping that Stamp could show out here and get a bit of a showcase. And I'll say that she will. I think maybe not a finish, though I could see that too, but I'll say that it's a good scrap and it's a Stamp UD.
Omar.
Yeah, I would agree. I also don't think it's going to be a finish, but the thing I love about Stamp Fairtex is that her decisions generally come with a lot of ass beatings behind them. She's very, very active, throws a ton of elbows when she comes inside. Very active from the inside and from the clinch as well. So I do think that as long as she's able to not get manhandled on the ground, which, like Mark said, Fairtex has been working quite a bit on the ground. You could see the improvements are pretty exponential, especially when you consider how consistent her Muay Thai is and how elite it is, but consistent. You can see the improvements in her ground game, I feel like, with almost each MMA fight that she goes into. So I don't think Anderson, I think, is going to be that type of issue that maybe some of the other women in that division will be higher up. So I think Stamp Fairtex does style a little bit, and I think she takes a clear, unanimous decision with a lot of ass beating behind it.
Yeah, man. I love Stamp. I'm taking her. I'm going to go knockout. Let's see, she's going to get out of there. I say round 3. Boom. Fairtex K-pop dance. We out.
I'm so excited for the K-pop dance.
Okay, main event. One fight night. We have Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson taking on Adriano Moraes one more time. This will be their third matchup. They have split so far 1-1, each finishing the other. Demetrious Johnson needing no introduction. He is the 36-year-old out of Washington State. 24-4 with one draw. Very well-rounded guy. Maybe one of the greatest skilled fighters we have ever seen compete in mixed martial arts. Only lost 4 times. One of those times he got finished. In fact, it is the only time he's ever been finished by Adriano Moraes, the Black Diamond. He is the 34-year-old out of Brazil. 20-4 as a professional with 10 subs on his record. Okay, let's talk about this. Omar, why don't you lead us off?
For those of you who are unaware, which I feel sorry for you, Demetrious Johnson is probably the greatest fighter you'll ever see in the octagon. There are some who would say it's John Jones, which I think is fair. I will make the argument it is.
Oh, wow. DJ's your number one? I didn't know that.
I think he is, man. There's something kind of miraculous about the fact that man has almost always fought at a natural weight that a lot of other people don't do. And the level of success that he's had, both fighting at 125 and at his natural weight at 135 against guys who are visibly bigger than him, I think it's crazy. I think it's crazy. John Jones has been and it's not a knock against John Jones. You can't fault him for being a goddamn giant, but it just, to me, says something a little bit extra that DJ was able to essentially overcome a lot of those disadvantages, and be that successful. I know the undefeated record, though, on John Jones is going to be one of the main selling points, unfortunately, for a GOAT moment, which I'm okay with. But I think skill for skill, when it comes to how they fight, I think if DJ was the size of John Jones, I think he'd be better. That's just my opinion.
Sure.
Anyway, Adriano Moraes is a beast. The first 2 fights that they had were absolutely fantastic. We're obviously 1-1 apiece at this point. But I still think Demetrious Johnson is just a better fighter overall. I think his ability to adjust not only like between rounds, but in the moment, in the middle of a fight, in the middle of a round, right after a sequence, and for him to take in all that information and make the necessary adjustments, I think is unparalleled, frankly. I think that Demetrious is probably one of the smarter fighters that you'll ever see inside of the octagon as well, or inside of a cage. And the reality is this one might be it for Demetrious Johnson. We might very well be seeing the last fight that Demetrious Johnson will ever be a part of. And you guys need to make sure that you watch. You have to make sure that you see Demetrious Johnson in prime form before you never see him again. This is one of those guys, one of the talents that don't come around very often. And I think as much shine as Demetrious Johnson never, shine and respect that Demetrious Johnson I don't think ever really got for the accolades that he really has in his career, I still think this is one of those things that you have to watch this man fight. It's just a joy. It's a gem. And I think we're really going to be sad when we never have the ability to watch him compete again. So definitely make sure to watch. And I will be going with Demetrious Johnson by second round KO.
Okay, Mark.
All right, close odds, as you may expect. Demetrious is the favorite. He's minus 155. Moraes is plus 125 as the underdog. 5-inch height and 3-inch reach advantage on the Moraes side, as we know by now. We're going to settle this trilogy here. We're going to settle who the true 135-pound champ of 1FC is, and we may be seeing Demetrious for the very last time, as Omar said. So make sure you appreciate it when you're watching him in this fight, because he's inarguably, one of the greatest that we've ever seen. And honestly, if you are not aware, if you have not been watching this since it's over in one, this rivalry is one of the greatest that we've ever seen. If this trilogy was happening in the UFC, it would be enormous. You have the monster knee from Adriano Moraes to finish DJ, a guy who's never been finished, put him out. Then you have one of my favorite finishing sequences that I've ever seen in my life from DJ to put Adriano out in the second fight. And now you have two guys who are really evenly matched and who present big problems for each other that the other has to solve, trying to settle this thing. Not to mention the story of Mighty Mouse and the size disadvantage that he has to overcome. So it's a special trilogy. I'm sure this third fight's going to live up to the other two, and I can't wait for it. As for picking it, it's fucking hard. We saw even in the second fight that Moraes is absolutely DJ's equal in there. If you remember, he was up 2 rounds early in that fight before DJ kind of chose to go into zombie mode and just started maniacally walking forward on Moraes to close the distance and change the fight, and that worked. But can he do it again? Can he do it again now that Moraes knows he has to prevent it? On the flip, can Moraes finish DJ without catching him on the ground in a spot that maybe he wasn't totally comfortable with yet, rule set wise? There's a lot of questions, even though we've seen them fight twice already, and I'm torn on where I want to go. Part of me tells me that the size of Moraes is just too much, that DJ kind of figured out a perfect game plan last fight and overcame it, but that having to do that again is a really tough ask. Other part of me tells me that DJ is just better, that his in-fight intelligence and ability to adjust on the fly is just going to allow him to find a way to overcome whatever's not working in there. And I don't know. I'm literally flipping a coin, which I'm going to do again in the UFC main event later on. There's some tough fights to call this weekend. I'm going to go with DJ again. Maybe it's just because that's how I want this to go, but I'm going to go DJ again and say that he somehow pulls this off, rides off into the sunset. And honestly, I forgot this, even though you brought it up to me. I like hearing that this fight's at elevation, which I did not know until earlier on this podcast. So that makes me a little more comfortable with the DJ pick. I trust him more to deal with an elevation issue just because of how enormous Moraes is and the fact that I can't believe he fights at this class. So I'm going to say DJ gets it done. I'm going to say maybe we see the cards for once in this trilogy. DJ, UD.
Yeah, I'm also going to ride with the great and mighty and powerful Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson. Yeah, I agree with Mark. I think it's going to go the distance because, DJ's flying knee of Moraes is the first time that Moraes has ever been finished. So I'm a believer a little bit in the law of averages. So I think things are going to average out a little bit. I think this fight is going to go to the scorecards. We're going to see Demetrious Johnson be more active, land more damage, and he's going to walk away with the win, with the belt, and with an incredible legacy if this is his last fight. Can't wait.